So the card on the bottom of the deck is the Page of Air. Now, air signs such as yourself, Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius energy, a lot of times this is a communication coming in. It's truth coming in. Can be spying on someone. I don't mean necessarily in the creepy way, but with social media, sometimes we like to check out what somebody else is doing on their social media page or whatever. So this can have something to do with that. This is, air is communication energy. It's internet. It is travel, right? Now, according to the keynotes on the card, this can be challenging information, delays or changes to plans, and truth delivered without tact, right? So watch out for your role in that. Sometimes people have a tendency to be too blunt and they don't recognize, how it can sound to the other person that can create unnecessary or unwanted conflict with somebody. But I will put this back. It'll be out of sight for now, but we'll reference this as we go on, see if it makes more sense in a reading. But, excuse me. Whoops. Ten of Fire shows that you're burdened. You've got a lot of responsibilities on your plate. You're working a lot. This can indicate a need to delegate responsibilities to other people. Your life may be out of balance. It can also indicate stress-related health concerns. So there is some kind of a need to slow your pace a little bit if you can. I remember reading a study that people who work really hard, like if say you work more than 60 hours a week, you have no additional productivity beyond the 60 hours. In fact, you have a decrease in productivity in the workplace because you're so tired and overtaxed that now you're losing productivity. So be sure that you're experiencing work-life balance as well. Are you getting out? Are you playing? Are you having fun? Are you laughing? I mean, really a belly laugh, not just, one of those polite, okay, whatever, kind of laughs with that. We need to be able to relax, work, play, sleep, have fun. These are the kinds of things that help keep us motivated, but also help us work with our physical flesh. Our physical flesh is so finite. And a lot of times it's kind of like our spirit. My mom says it this way. She's a church lady. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. That's kind of the idea. I think she's quoting St. Paul, but whatever. But the idea is we have to have that space. We got to have that space for that. And, we have to understand that our meat can only keep up with so much. There really does come a place where we've got to be able to, excuse me, find that balance. Because our body's limited, even if our spirit or our mind may be limitless or seem that way. Now, this is crossed by Knight of Fire energy. Okay, this is fast-moving, incoming energy. Think things through very carefully because things are going to happen at a rapid pace. This can be a problem, right? This could be a fire sign like an Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. This person could be galloping in at fast speed. This could be passion, either yourself or it could be another person, the situation. As much responsibility as you have some kind of a passion for something. Or this other person's coming in. But remember, if you're not balancing out your energies, you're going to fizzle very quickly out because you're going to be exhausted. Things that we feel passionate about, when we want to actually manifest them into something materially demonstrable, like, what's another way to put that? We can have a passion to write a book, but if we don't actually sit down and write it, it's never going to happen. You meet somebody, you're really attracted to them, you want to have a relationship with them or something like that. You can meet at the Sleazebag Motel or something like that, but at some point they're going to want to go out to a restaurant. You still have to make time for dinner. So again, finding that work-life balance is going to help you achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve right now. So be careful that you're allowing space for that. Now, the Ace of Earth is kind of, like I was just saying, there comes a point where you want to take this passionate energy and manifest something solid with it. Manifest something solid with it. You want to be building. And the Ace of Earth is about a new beginning. It's new financial success, new abundance, new business adventure. Documents and contracts coming in. This is about taking the steps to build your brick and mortar house, or your new job, or whatever. Your new project idea. You're taking this passionate energy and you're applying it over here. Now, for some of you, I'm getting romance. I'm getting different storylines in here. For some, it could be a romantic situation. For others of you, it could be like a business or venture or success of a sort that you want to do. You're having this passionate forward motion in a business. Then again, if this is a relationship, that's going to be about doing the actual work to create the relationship. Spending time together. Becoming boyfriend and girlfriend, announcing to the parents, going out to dinner, going out to the movies, or dating. At some point, possibly building up to the sort of relationship where you move in. It's whatever. I mean, not to put the cart before the horse on that, but, everything in its own time. But this is fast, passionate energy, whatever your situation. If you're married, this is most likely going to be some sort of business relationship. If you're not, if you're single, this could very well be a passionate individual, an Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, or somebody who's coming off in that energy. Possibly younger than you, but it really depends on your age and your stage of life. Symbolically, hypothetically, the page is kind of like the student, the child or student. The knight is the person who has the education and now they're learning how to apply it in the real world. So that's somebody who's, doing what they need to do to manifest their passion into a physical realm. They're developing the program. They are creating the steps, or creating or doing the work and so on to get things done. Now, 8 of Cups. For some of you, this is about moving on or the desire to do so. Some of you are contemplating whether or not you need to leave a situation that you have invested a lot of emotion into. 8 of Water. This is about moving on and seeking calmer waters, brighter shores. Pick a metaphor, right? For some of you, it's been burdensome and you're kind of escaping into that. There's this passionate type energy that you're experiencing. Now, just behind you, we see about you coming into your own new partnerships or contracts. We saw the contracts in the Ace of Earth and continuing to move forward. For some of you, it really is, maybe you've met somebody and you're ready to leave a situation that's no longer happy for you. Then again, in a business sense, this can be about signing a new contract for a new job and leaving a business that you've invested some time and energy into, and some of yourself as well. When we're building when we're working hard at a job, we're building part of that company up. We're part of their profit margin, if they have one. I've worked for some shitty not-for-profits, so probably, and not in all cases. I've just dumped my time and effort into loser managers. I shouldn't say that. They might be watching. But, you get the point here. I just put my foot in my mouth. Okay, so me putting my foot in my mouth right now, that's your page of air right here. Truth delivered without No, I'm just teasing. All right, it's whatever. It's not all about me, Val. But you get the point, right? 2 of Fire is passion. When you think about the 2 wands that are on the sides in some of these decks right here, it's like you're looking through a doorway that's made by these staffs or staves. I don't know, whatever the plural of staff is. But it's like you're looking through a portal. You're walking through a door here. There's something new. You're moving on. You're moving through something. It's sort of like going through a mini challenge. You've passed it. You've leveled up, in a sense. But there's a great deal of responsibility that's been coming with that. And part of that could be, and this could be what you're so fired up about over here, some of you, is that you got the desire to shake it and move on. You're done. It's exhausting when you're working for a company, a business, whatever, and you're not seeing yourself getting ahead. Now, for others of you, you could be leaving some kind of a relationship or something because something new has happened. But again, take it as it resonates. Take it as it resonates. Most of this, my feeling about this is more of a business type sense with that. Because I'm really not seeing the romance cards I would expect to be seeing if this were specifically related to that. But again, there's a lot of people that can view any one specific reading, and these are general. So As I said before, I'm kind of feeling a couple different storylines. Now, in the future, we have the Empress card. Excuse me. Okay, the Empress is kind of, this is about the birth of something new, like the birth of a new project. She's the ideal mother. She's sort of the queen of the other suits. Like she's the balance of air, water, fire, and earth energy. Right? She's very balanced. Now she is, the Empress card relates to Venus, and Venus is sort of the feminine sexuality. Mars would be the masculine energy, sexually speaking. So she's going to have to do with fertility and all the rest. Now, Venus is the planetary ruler of Virgo or Libra. So it could possibly relate to either a Virgo or Libra for you, but she's the ideal mother. Then again, this could be the reason that you're working, you're experiencing this passion. It could be this here. Now, if you're a, say, a heterosexual, a heterosexual Gemini, and you're a guy, given that we're seeing this kind of passion in here, we're seeing this sort of responsibility, we're seeing the Ace of Earth, we're seeing the Two of Fire. Be careful of unplanned pregnancy. Because that's always a possibility too, right? But a lot of times the Empress is really more symbolic. Now, this is somebody who's got their brick and mortar, their earth down. They know how to do their adulting. And yet they also are in touch with their intuition. They're also highly logical. They're self-disciplined. They understand their emotions and they don't tend to be overwhelmed by them. They have the balance of logic and emotions at the same time. The Empress is really kind of in a good place like that. She's a very nurturing being, a quintessential feminine energy here. So this could be you or somebody near you. The Empress could be the person that you go to when you're feeling overburdened or overwhelmed, when you've got all these responsibilities on your plate. Could be that person. Then again, it could be that, you better be careful because somebody's going to wind up pregnant over here too. Because again, we got that Knight of Fire. And the Ace of Earth is about the beginning of something material. And a baby is a physical material manifestation of some kind of a contract or partnership that is passionate, right? That is fiery. Okay, lecture over. The card representing you right now, Gemini, is the High Priestess. The High Priestess is about, she's a female, doesn't have to be a female. Men can walk in the High Priestess energy as well. But she's really the goddess that is, I want to say the virgin goddess that was associated with the moon. But remember, the virgin goddess wasn't about, asexual behavior. It had to do with a woman who was unto herself, that was not, I want to say owned by a man, but I hate to say it that way. The Empress has a partner, the Emperor. The High Priestess is the moon goddess. She's Selena. She's, who are some of the other ones? Whatever. But you get the point, right? She's very intuitive. She understands the mysteries of the universe. She has affinity with the moon and the lunar cycles and so on. Again, if you're a heterosexual Gemini woman, be careful it's not you becoming pregnant. This is intuition. You've got the Empress coming and you are the High Priestess. This is kind of a progression from the Virgin Goddess of the temple to the Earth Mother Goddess. But this, when I'm thinking about the moon, I'm also thinking about the 28-day cycle. It's 27 point whatever. But I'm thinking about the lunar cycles that accompany with that. And of course, when I think of lunar cycles and the like, that makes me think again of female fertility. So be mindful of that this month. Three of Fire. Here's another one. We move from the Two of Fire over here to the Three of Fire. Three of Fire is about waiting for your ships to come in. Three of Fire is waiting for your ships to come in. You've taken steps You've transacted business. You've done some good work here. Partnerships, contracts, and all the rest. And here you're waiting for that ship to come in. It's not that it might come in. It's that it is, in fact, coming in. They're on the way. You can see the mast in the distance. Maybe not in this deck of cards. Everything's so small, I can't see it. But then again, my eyes aren't what they were. Whatever. I babble. And I digress. So, you're a card of the environment. This is how other people see you in the environment. They see you as your ship's coming in. This is how you perceive your environment. This is all about waiting for that to come in. Again, doesn't have to be a harvest, but given that we've got some potential baby making activity going on, this could also be about waiting for that to come in. So, what you reap, you shall sow, literally and metaphorically. Now, hopes and fears, a false sense of entrapment, being overly focused on material things, and negative or fear-based thoughts. What is keeping you trapped, Gemini, in your mind? How are you feeling stuck and unable to move on? Like we saw this Eight of Wands. I listened to another reader who says, Eight of Cups, that ass. When she's talking about, you got some crumb bum in your life, get rid of him, her, it. Get rid of that person. You got an Eight of Cups, that ass, she says. And it's true, but sometimes we're our own worst enemy. How are we tying ourselves down? What is our addiction, literal or metaphorical addiction? What is it that we are holding on to that no longer benefits us, that we need to really get rid of? What is our fear in this? How are we keeping ourselves trapped in a burdensome situation because we're experiencing fear? Why are we grinding ourselves into the ground like that? We need to come back into this place of balance and let go. Right? What is our metaphorical baby? But, what is it that we're attached to that we don't need to be? Now this is in the hopes and fears. So it could be that you're fearing that you're going to have this issue. Then again, sometimes people focus on things and they're like, it's all the same. It won't matter anyway in the end, and this and that. And we kind of kneecap ourselves because we think negatively. We have to think the language of manifestation. If you want change to happen, if you want to feel excited, if you want to bring this passion back into your life, you got to figure out what that means for you. And is it a selfish passion that's just going to trap you? Or is it a positive passion, something that's going to help you feel motivated in your life? Where do you need to feel passion in your life? Where do you feel dead? Where are you walking through the motions or going through the motions? Then, of course, think of that Buffy song. But whatever, where are you going through the motions in your life? How do you kick yourself into gear? This Two of Earth, too much going on at once, the need to make a decision and consider a more playful approach. And didn't we talk about that in the beginning, about the need to be more playful? Or was that in my Taurus reading? But no, that was here because we had this Ten of Fire with the responsibility. Life is out of balance, stress-related health. The Two of Earth is this kind of, can you even see my hand? We're juggling from one thing to the other, trying to figure out what are we going to do next. I'm trying to make a figure eight here. It looks crazy on this film. But anyway, playfulness, making a choice, determining what it is that we want. It's not going to be that easy. Life is just not that easy. We have to make choices. We can't say, well, I'm not going to make a choice, because ultimately that becomes the choice, is when we don't decide something. And we let it all play out, and then we lose the opportunity, and then we realize, oh, well, crap. Maybe I should have done something about that. Maybe I should have done that. But by then the door's closed. It's too late to do it. Not making a choice is making a choice. There's no way to avoid that information. I do remember, it seems to me, on your last reading, the mid-November reading, there was something else that you guys, I did a 9-card spread. You guys were, there was something that was not being brought to light, something that was hidden from view, because you had the moon card dead in the center, and there was also some kind of a choice or decision that you needed to make. I wonder, what's your inauthenticity? When and why are you being inauthentic? That's part of your ego, right? And look, I'm not picking on you. I do the same damn thing. Whoops. Right? I do the same thing. We all do, because we're human. Ego is about taking care of our earthly needs, right? It's taking care of our physical material beings. Selfishness, right? Selfishness can be a bad thing, but if you're trying to find materials and resources and squirrel them away for your family, then that's not so bad, is it? Human beings, and I think Aristotle talks about this on virtue, when there's impulses and there's values and there's needs and all the rest of that, and we're really trying to find the happy medium. Let me give an example, like with bravery. We all would say, oh, bravery is a good thing. Courage is a good thing. But if you're in a war zone and you rush into enemy fire without thinking, your bravery, your courage is too much. It's too over the top. It's like you've overdosed on courage. You need to draw it back a little bit so that you can be reserved and hesitant and look around. Then again, if you don't have enough courage or bravery, you may be a coward. I like to say you'd be a normal person, but okay. But I think courage comes from being a normal person who does something anyway, even at great risk to oneself. It's that extreme, right? We can also think about other things. Example, sex. Sex is neutral. It's neutral. On the one hand, you could have, say, a committed couple having sex, and that's a wonderful thing. Then again, at the far opposite end of the extreme, you have non-consensual sex, such as rape or child abuse. So you can see how, if we don't find a balance for our sexual impulses, a balance for our courage, a balance for the things that we do, we can fall off on either side of that. So with ego, it's not exactly a bad thing in and of itself, but we have to find the balance in the middle. I have to take care of me and my needs, but not to the extent that I'm harming other people to do it. I can't kill somebody because I want their stupid peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? It's that same idea. So how can we work with this? Understand what your ego need is, but talk yourself out of the sense of entrapment. Note that the wording on the card says a false sense of entrapment. This has to do with a mental picture that you create for yourself. How do you talk yourself in or out of anything? You are the queen and the king of ambivalence, Gemini. This 2 of Earth final outcome card, surprise. That's almost a wild card because you live there. Some of you. I don't mean to pigeonhole everyone into the same. But there's that sense of that, right? It's so hard to find that balance in there, to be able to make a decision, because it's like you want both things at the same time. Very contradictory, but you know what? That's who people are. We can love someone and hate them at the same time. They're flip sides of the same coin, but it's on the same coin, right? Speaking of coin, how do we find the balance in that? How do we release negative or fear-based thoughts so that we can self-actualize and get closer and closer to being able to make this decision? Courage, remember, is not the absence of fear. It's about action in spite of the fear. But like we saw in the example of the courage, you have to engage your mind first and think first so that you know you're not hastily rushing into enemy fire, but you have to weigh it out and figure your stratagem correctly.